We got Alabama versus Michigan in the first semifinal matchup in the Rose Bowl. This game is really intriguing to me because when Michigan found out that they was going up against Alabama, they didn't have a pleasant reaction. As a matter of fact, there was a sense of worrisome that you could get from that room. And you definitely should be worried when you're going against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Because Alabama, they're the scariest team out of any team that's in the playoffs. Because they're playing their best football. They outplayed Georgia. Jalen Milroe, this dude has gotten better every single game. And I wonder how Michigan's defense is going to prepare for Jalen Milroe. Because Michigan hasn't faced a quarterback with Jalen Milroe's skill set. You look at Michigan, though, their defense is really good, and I question how much success is Alabama going to be able to have against this Michigan front. Georgia's defense is good, but it's not at the level that it was in the past 2 seasons. As a matter of fact, I would say that Michigan's defense is way better than Georgia's because they got so much talent up front, and they also got a really good secondary. But do they have the kind of skill at linebacker where you can put guys who can spy on Jalen Milroe and can keep him contained in the pocket? Are they going to be able to keep Jalen Milroe from going off on those design quarterback runs like what he was killing Georgia with? Now, Alabama defensively, they got a really good run defense. They're 29th in college football rushing yards per game allowed, but we've seen during certain games that Alabama has played where this defense has been susceptible to the run. And we know that Michigan, they're a run-first team, but they also play really good complementary football. They do a really good job at being balanced. There has yet to be a team that's been able to force Michigan to become a pass-first team. Michigan is only a 1.5-point favorite in this game. I expect this point spread to go down within the next couple of weeks as we get closer to this matchup. But right now, I do think that this game favors Michigan. The reason why I have to say this game favors Michigan is because Alabama, they still have inconsistencies in the passing game. And it really comes down to that offensive line. That offensive line hasn't really been that reliable when it comes to pass protection. And Jalen Milroe last week, he had a really good game against Georgia, but he started that game out really ugly. And he's not one of those quarterbacks that's going to wow you where he's going to go 28 or 32 passing for 400 passing yards and 3 touchdowns and no picks. He's one of those quarterbacks that's just an okay passer. It's funny how he throws the deep ball better than he throws the short and intermediate passes. The thing with Jalen Milroe is being able to keep him inside the pocket and force him to be a true quarterback from throwing within inside the pocket, not allowing him to get outside and create with his legs and extend plays. That's when Jalen Milroe can really hurt you. Michigan on the other end, with how good their defensive line is and how good their pass rush is, they should be able to take advantage of an Alabama offensive line that's been fairly inconsistent. But you can never count out Nick Saban. You can never count out Alabama. I know that sounds so cliche to say, but it's true. You know, I don't think too many people thought that Alabama was going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Hell, I didn't see it coming. Jalen Milroe, I thought that he wasn't good enough to beat Georgia with the fact that he's not a great passer, and he still didn't show the ability to be a great passer in that game. You know, a lot of his great plays came when he was getting outside the pocket and extending and buying time for guys to get open. And he made a lot of big plays with his legs in that game. If Michigan can erase Jalen Milroe's ability to kill them in the run game, and you force him to become a pocket passer, and he has to beat you with his arm, this game votes Michigan's way. You see, Michigan, I think that they're a way more versatile team than what Alabama is. You see, Michigan, they may not be as deep as what Alabama is at the receiver position, even though the receiver position hasn't really been that great for Alabama this year. I don't view Michigan as a team that's going to destroy you by just airing the football out. When Michigan is at their best, they're able to mix in the run with the pass. They can get the play action passing game going. But I do like the fact that I trust Michigan's offense more simply for the fact that J.J. McCarthy has proven to be a way more efficient passer than what Jalen Milroe is. And if Michigan gets into a situation where the run game isn't at their disposal, and this becomes a game that they have to win throwing the football, I still like their chances, even against a really good Alabama defense that was able to slow down Carson Beck. Georgia wasn't fully healthy at wide receiver. Michigan, they have a pretty talented group of wide receivers. Now, it's not as good as Washington or Texas, but it's good enough to get the job done. This is an Alabama secondary that, at times, they've been vulnerable to giving up big plays. Against Tennessee, they gave up a couple of big plays deep down the field. And if Michigan can get their run game going, and they can allow that to open up their pass game, and they can get the play action pass going, then that bodes well for them. Alabama, I feel they're a one-trick pony. They're not a team that wants to have to beat you by throwing the football 40 times with Jalen Milroe. Go back and look at how that Texas game went. When Texas was able to slow down that run game and Jalen Milroe wasn't able to display how great of an athlete he was, and they kept him inside of the pocket, that was a completely different game for Alabama's offense. And we've yet to see a team that really has been able to contain Jalen Milroe. Georgia, they tried, but on those zone reads and those read options, Jalen Milroe was killing them. If Michigan can find a way to keep Jalen Milroe from taking over this game with his legs, I feel really confident about their ability to pull off this win. Now, Alabama has a really great defensive line. They got a really talented pass rush. You got Dallas Turner, who probably is going to be a top 15 selection in the 2024 NFL draft. When you look at Michigan's offensive tackles, I kind of think that's a weak spot on their offensive line. When they went up against Penn State, Chop Robinson was having a really good day against whoever that right tackle was. And they lost one of their starting offensive tackles in their win against Ohio State. And you wonder how that's going to play a factor into how their pass protection is going to be able to handle this Alabama pass rush. But I'm really excited for this Alabama versus Michigan game. I do think that when you look at Michigan right now, I'll say they're a better team than Alabama, but the best team doesn't always win. How is the coaching going to factor into this game? Because last year, Michigan was a better team than TCU. But they lost that game because they got out-coached. They didn't really look as prepared as what TCU's coaching staff was.